Got some strength exercises for y'all runners. We are going to start with some warm-ups. When you are looking at the video, check out the description below for the timestamps of these exercises. You're going to see the name, and when you click, it'll jump you straight to the exercise. So we'll start with a couple warm-ups. These are warm-ups I think everybody should be doing, no matter if you're healthy or not. But we're talking about getting our hips in the right position and activating the right muscles before we start to run. So you guys have probably heard me refer to these as squeezy breathies because that's what we're doing. So what I'm going to do is kick my shoes off. I'm going to find a nice level wall. I'm going to have something to put in between my legs. Yoga block works great. A foam roller works great. If you're really pressed, you could use a shoe. But what I'm going to do is to hop up here. These are called 90-90s because I have a 90-degree angle in my knees and I have a 90-degree angle in my hips. So I'm going to situate myself here, and I'm going to make sure my angle is good. The hardest part about these exercises is getting in the right position because they are very minute. What I'm trying to correct with this exercise is the hip tilt that I have from my back into my pelvis. Right now, my hips are really rolled forward. And you can see that I could slide my hand through my lower back because my hips are really, really rolled forward, and that's limiting my mobility and putting a lot of strain on my hip flexors. So what this exercise is doing is correcting that. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing my hips up, almost like a pelvic thrust. So now I don't have that room underneath my hips anymore. My hips are tucked in. I'm driving my feet through the wall, and I have my balls of my feet digging through, and I'm almost pulling down, and I'm going to put this in between my legs. That's just going to activate my abductors here and kind of keep myself level. So once again, nice and level here, 90 degrees, squeezing, activating, driving through the balls of my feet. And then the last part of this is I'm going to just separate my shoulder blades off the ground, from here to here. And the reps with this is just breath work. What I'm doing is I'm trying to activate the muscles in my core that are going to now hold my body into this place before I go out and run. So I'm going to take a big deep breath in through my nose, and a long, exaggerated breath out through my mouth. What you want to happen here is your stomach wants to be going up and down on this axis, on this side to side here. If you feel your stomach going to the floor and up to the ceiling, we're doing it wrong. We're trying to correct that. So taking a deep breath into my nose, and I'm almost dragging my ribs down to my butt with my hands up. Spending a lot of time on this one because this is the basis for a couple of other exercises that we're going to be doing. And this is the position that we want to be in while we run. My hips are tucked, my posterior chain, my hamstrings, my glutes, and my low back are really activated. And I'm turning off the weight of my quads and my core. See, I'm already starting to shake a little bit here because I really feel my hamstrings starting to turn on. So once we're here, 10 breaths is good. Once we've done 10, you can take a little bit of a break, kind of reset yourself, and then we're just going to do a single leg version of this. So I'm going to kick one leg up, I'm going to retuck my hips, right? From here, I'm tucking my hips in that pelvic thrust position, and immediately you can see, because I have a little bit of a weakness here, my body wants to do this. So we want to avoid that and correct that, because when we run, we don't want that side-to-side hip motion to be happening. We want ourselves to be nice and level. So I'm going to correct that, push it up, and I'm even going to exaggerate a little bit and push it over to the side. So now I'm really straight. I still have that 90 degrees, and I'm going to keep that leg up, this hand up, and I'm just going to cross it over my body. Then the same thing, I'm going to be doing the breaths. So big deep breath in through my nose, pushing my breath up through my chest and into my back. And exaggerating the breath out, dragging my ribcage down to my butt. You really aren't going to be feeling a burn through this. This is really supposed to just activate some stuff on, so I feel a little tired, but this isn't an exercise where we're like repping through this and we're going to have to be pushing through. This is really an activation drill instead of a strength drill. 10 breaths on each side there. We'll just switch the leg. Same thing, 90, 90, hip tuck, hand off, shoulder blades off the ground. And I'm making sure I'm not like this. I don't want to be here, right? We're trying to correct that. But I'm still digging through the balls of my feet and like pulling myself up with my hamstrings. All right. So I spent a lot of time on that one because that is the basis for a lot of different things. The other variation of that is a sideways version of it. So we're going to get in the exact same position, except we're going to be on this axis. So I'm going to get into that 90-90 position again, which means 90 degrees here, 90 degrees here, and 90 degrees here. Again, the hardest part about this is just getting into the right position. I'm going to have this to square myself off and activate my inner muscles there. 90 degrees, 90 degrees. And again, right now you can see my back is really tilted in. That's limiting my mobility. So I'm going to tuck that out, correct myself a little bit, and I'm still pushing through my balls of my feet into the wall. And I'm just going to keep this arm nice and relaxed. And it's the exact same thing, a deep breath in through my nose. And a long, exaggerated breath out. The only other thing to add to this exercise is that with each breath out, my top leg is going to pull back. And a little bit further back with each breath. I'm going to keep that leg tucked. Every time I do it, it's going to come out a little bit. I'm going to have to recorrect it. Notice the only thing that's moving is my leg. My upper body isn't moving. My back isn't moving. Only this leg. So we're really just trying to do like this motion. 10 breaths on each side of that one. The last version of this drill, of the squeezy breathy set, is a standing version where we're going to ditch this. We're going to get in a running position standing up. I'm going to be 90 degrees here, and I'm not going to be 90 degrees here. I'm just going to have a nice hip tuck. Right? I don't want to be here. I don't want to be like this. I want to be nice and straight. My back is level, and I'm driving through that ball of my foot in the back with a 90-degree angle. And I'm going to make sure my foot isn't flared out at all like that. I'm going to make sure it's tilted nice and directly down. I want to be at just about stride length. So if you're way, way out here, that's too much, right? We're trying to program our minds to have a correct stride. So we don't want to be too far out because we want to be landing directly under our center of gravity. So I'm just going to get in that position, point my leg out, tuck my hips in, and just a soft little bend in that knee. And same thing, I'm just going to separate my shoulder blade a little bit, just to exaggerate this motion. Come in here, and I'm just going to do my breaths again. Kept tucking my hips in. I really feel my hamstring firing up right now. And I'm doing my breath work again. As I start to get tired, I slowly fall out of the position. I have to recorrect it. 10 breaths on each side of that. Right, so I'm nice and fired up, I'm nice and warmed up now. Right now I should be feeling like I'm really tall, my posterior chain is activated. When I go out and run, the muscles that need to be catching my stride are the ones firing correctly now. So those are the warm-up exercises that we should be doing before run and 2 of them after run when you check the sheet. So we're going to get into the prehabilitation exercises. We call these prehab. They say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So we do these exercises even when we're healthy to make sure that we are staying that way. The first exercise we're showing is a simple single leg squat. And you'll notice, so we're going to notice that all the drills that we're going to be doing kind of mirror those drills that we did. Those are our foundational drills. So I'm just going to lay this right here. I'm going to get into this exact same position that I was doing for the warm-up exercise. I'm going to be about stride length with a soft bend. My hip is tucked, right? I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like flared out like that. I want to be nice and tucked in and squared off. We are going for stability, not power. Everything we do in here is to make sure that we can run farther and stay healthy longer. So I don't want to be hammering these up and down really, really fast. We're going to do this on a 4-second count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, dropping that knee down. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're okay to go past your knee as long as your foot stays up on the ground. If your foot comes up off the ground like that, you've gone too far. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. As deep as we can get with 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And once we get good at it, we add some weight in, we make sure we keep that stability. 1, 2, 3. Just gotta slide out a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You notice I have a lot of stability in what I'm doing here. I'm not wobbling at all. I'm only gonna add weight if I feel really comfortable getting all the way down and all the way back up on that 4 count. And every time I come back up, it's important. We're gonna retuck the hips so we don't have that hinge in our pelvis. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. This one. All right. Now the bread and butter one. We're gonna find one of these. You can also find at a gym. You can find the smaller discs. Anything that's gonna make it easier to balance or difficult to balance on. So what I'm gonna do is hop up on this single leg. Most of the things we do in the weight room is gonna mirror running. So we're always running with that single leg. So we're gonna be single leg here. I'm just gonna find my balance first. Essentially, we're just working on balancing this and working on our stability through our stride. But I wanna be in 2 different positions when we do this, mirroring 2 different sections of our stride. So the first one we wanna do is be in the position of our stride right as we're about to take off. So we're gonna be in this position. I'm gonna be up, I'm gonna soft bend. Again, everything has that tuck in the hip. So I'm here, find my balance, I'm just gonna soft leg, and I'm gonna be right like this, exaggerating that position of my stride. So soft bend, I'm really loading up the balls of my feet right now. I'm gonna be straight, and I'm just gonna hold that for about a minute, the best I can. It's not easy. The other position that we're gonna do is mirroring the other position of our stride where we're landing here, so we're like this. Again, soft bend. So I'm gonna hop up, find my balance first. I'm not straight legged. I don't want to lock out. I still have that soft bend in my hip, and my hips are tucked. I'm gonna stay like this, and I'm just gonna get in a running position. I'm just gonna balance like that for about a minute, as best as I can. Next exercise is we're going to do dog walks. These are probably something you might have done in high school. So I'm going to get my balance. We don't have to use the ball yet. My hips are tucked, and I'm just going to hinge myself at the hips as far down as I can get, using my arm for a counterbalance here, and I'm going to straighten out my back leg. Then I'm going to come back up. When I come back up, we're going to mirror with that running form. What I don't want to see you guys do is go as far down as you can and lose your balance. I've been doing these for a little bit, so my balance is okay. But if you guys can only get here before we start to tip out, that's okay. You want to be able to do this as best as you can without being able to fall. When we get really good at this and we've done our work on the balance ball, we're going to put these 2 exercises together. I'm going to do a dog walk on the balance ball. So you can see here, my strength is not all the way there, so I can only get about here before I start to fall. That's okay. We're going to come on back through. We're mirroring that run. Great. The next exercise is called hip ups. Maybe come right here. Thank you, buddy. So these really mirror our 90-90 hip lifts that we do when we're doing our squeezy breathy set in the warm-ups. You can see I'm in that exact same position. 90 degrees here, or just about, and 90 degrees here. Something has to go in between my legs to make sure I'm squared off, and I'm activating these muscles here. So I'm just gonna get in that 90-90 position, right? I'm gonna retuck my hips so that I don't have room to put my hand under my back, and I'm really activating my posterior chain, which is my hamstrings, my glutes, and my low back. And I'm driving through the heels right now. You can see my toes are pointed straight up, and not like this, not like this. My heels are pointed straight up because I really want to activate my hamstrings. what I'm gonna be doing is I'm just gonna push all the way up. Right now, the only thing that is moving my body is my hamstrings, my glutes. My quads are completely turned off. You can see there's no activation in them, and my stomach is completely turned off. And I'm just going to push as far up as I can get with control as I can. Again, we're gonna count on a 4 second for stability. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once we get good at these, we're gonna do the single leg. So I'm gonna kick one leg up. And what I'm gonna do too is I'm gonna have this arm here is going to mirror my running motion when I'm doing this, when I'm upright running. We're gonna be mirroring that by pressing it into the ground and activating our back. So I'm here, I've tucked my hips again, and I don't wanna be flared out like that. I wanna be nice and straight. So here, I'm pressing myself up, and I'm gonna actually use that arm to mimic it. I can really only get about to there before I start to fail out and my form starts to get bad, so that's as far as I'm gonna go. Everything we do is with perfect form. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing on the other side. I'm gonna reset myself. Again, this arm is pushing back like I'm running. This leg is coming up. I'm making sure I'm straight, not flared out like that. Pushing through the heels of my feet, and I'm going. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and slow on everything. The single leg squat, the balance ball hold, and the hip up are the 3 bread and butters that if you can't do any other exercise, make sure that you get those 3 in. Yeah, pause and reset it just so I don't have a huge. So we're mimicking a good morning here. So if anybody's done one of those, it looks like this. We'll have like a weight here and we'll be hinging at the hips. We're modifying this exercise to really hammer home that we want to be doing this exercise for about an hour and a half at a time without getting hurt. So what I'm going to be doing is a very minute exercise with a lot of intricacies. I'm going to kind of run my knee up against something to prop it up. I've actually got a little bit of a pad here just to protect my knee. I'm gonna get into like a runner stride length, so you don't wanna be out here, we wanna be way up here, we're just about stride length apart. Again, hips are tucked, right? You can see up here, I'm putting them here. As soon as I do that, I feel a little bit of a stretch in my calf, and I feel my posterior chain turn on. I'm gonna kind of tilt myself to make sure my feet aren't flared out, so I'm tilting myself in a little bit, kind of squaring myself out. I'm trying to correct as much of my form as I can. Once I'm in that position, I'm upright, my hips are tucked. The last part is I'm just gonna raise my calf up, mimicking that last portion of our stride before we push off. So I'm really loaded up. All of my weight is on this front leg. This is just only here for balance. So I'm gonna lean forward, hips are tucked. And what I'm gonna do, in that position, is I'm gonna grab some kind of counterbalance. You could even start with a 5-pound weight, but once we get better, we do wanna add some weight to it. In that position, legs up, bring all my weight in that front leg, squaring off, and I'm gonna slowly come down and hinge at that hip while keeping my hips tucked in. I'm gonna grab a weight, and I'm gonna come down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put that leg out a little bit. You can be off the ground a little bit with that back leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get a little bit deeper than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With each one, I want to make sure I'm not falling out of that position. You can see here I've already fallen out. I'm going to retuck. I know it's a small movement, but it makes a huge difference. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to make sure I'm breathing with this one. This is a really minute exercise with a lot of different things moving on. So we make sure we get all of them right. My hips are tucked, my feet's off the ground. I'm really loading up my calf, and this leg here has got all the weight coming down, just hinging at the hips, right? Each one I have to recorrect my form because as I get tired, I tend to fall out of that position. All right, call that runner's good morning. All right, after that, we have a different variation of a back squat. We've seen, this is called back squat with a pull. We've seen us do this many, many, many times. we're just adding one little caveat to that exercise to make it really hyper-focused on having our form be great when we're out there. So I'm gonna take a resistance band about this length, you know, nothing that's gonna be too long or too hard. I'm gonna wrap it, I'm gonna put it right above my knee, and I'm just gonna make sure I have a little bit of tension in it. Not too much, just something that where I'm getting pulled that way. And I'm gonna be doing a back squat with that pull, and I'm gonna be trying to resist the pull and keep my balance. So I'm squared off here. Again, hips are tucked, standing nice and straight. And I'm gonna come down, and you can see immediately this tries to pull me that way. And this inner muscle here is the one that's going to be keeping it straight. So I don't want my foot to come off the ground. I want my feet to be planted through the balls of my feet. I'm gonna come on down, nice and slow. Right here, I can really feel that burn. I'm gonna come up, and on the way up, I'm gonna be driving my leg up like I'm running. So the full exercise, again, I'm resisting this, nice and slow, coming up. Keeping that, my foot wants to be pulled that way. It wants to go to the outside, but I'm gonna keep it straight down as best as I can. And when I come to the top of the motion here, tucking in that hips. Coming down. Cool. We'll do that on both sides. This last one, you're gonna need one of these. This is called band step pull. I'm gonna be putting this right above my knee. I'm going to kind of find my balance on one side. So my left leg. This leg's only really here to keep me balanced right now. All my weight's gonna go here. I'm gonna, again, tuck my hips in, really come down and load that up like I'm at the bottom of a squat. So I'm here, I don't want my hips to be flared out one way, so I'm gonna correct them and make sure they're squared off, being straight. If we're here, we gotta make sure we've either come down a resistance band or we're maybe doing a little bit less of them. We don't want our hips to be here, we're training them to be here. So I'm here, I'm gonna square my chest off so it's facing forward. I'm gonna come down as far as I can get, like I'm sitting into a chair, and then I'm just gonna step out, like that. I'm adding a little bit of an arm motion here because that's a force of habit, but you can see as I do these, my body wants to come stand up. I want you to come down even farther, get that leg out, and step. If it wants to be flared out that way, I'm gonna fix it. Every couple of reps, check your form. Am I low enough? Am I squared off? We're kind of stepping out, not directly to the right, not directly to the back, just kind of at an angle there. This one is called a step up. This one's pretty simple. This out. I'm going to be here. I'm just going to be stepping up here and driving at the top of my form. So I'm going to step, drive up, and slowly come down. I'm practicing a back squat on the way down. So I don't want you to just kind of step up, and step down, right? We're not doing this lazy. We're going to be coming up, stepping up, driving with my arms, coming up like this. And the hardest part about this is the way down. So when I come down, I'm going to be coming down nice and slow. Stepping down. Step up, come down. Both legs on that one. All right, we got 2 core exercises to conclude out the PT exercises here. So I'm going to be laying this on the floor. This is a side plank rendition that we're going to be doing to again focus on a running form. So I'm just going to get the side plank first, like this, right? This is you've seen this before. Again, we really want to focus on tucking our hips in. I don't want to be back here, and I don't want to be up here. I want to be here, tucked in, up. As soon as I tuck in, this back oblique really starts to fire. Once we get really good at this, we're going to do a co-contraction, which means as I fire one side of my body, the other side is going to fire in conjunction with how my form will look when I'm running. And I'm going to put this leg up. And I'm just going to hold like that. Again, tucking the hips in. Check yourself every 10 seconds. If I'm falling out, tuck it back in. Last one we're gonna do on the core side of things is a butt tap. So I'm just gonna get in a push-up position. I'm gonna be here, and I'm going to be kind of finding my center of gravity and just tapping my butt. The idea here is to make sure I don't have any torque motion going on in my hips. So when I come down here, I'm gonna make sure I'm not doing this with each tap. We're gonna be nice and steady, and even if that means I have to go slow, tap, tap. Just like that. All right, should be good. Okay. All right, this is seated row, targeting the area right between our shoulder blades. So I'm gonna be taking a dumbbell here, I'm gonna be squaring my back off, I'm gonna be nice and right. I'm gonna give her a pull. I'm gonna be separating my shoulder blades from my back a little bit, so I'm kind of hinged forward. When I pull in, I'm gonna squeeze my shoulder blades together. I'm gonna come out. See, I'm gonna go a little bit farther here, right? There's this last little motion where I'm separating my shoulder blades from my back. So I'm gonna pull all the way in, squeeze my shoulder blades together. If you cannot get to this machine, another way to target these muscles is with a band, Facepull. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing, just standing up. I'm gonna kind of square myself off, separate my shoulder blades from my back, pull in and squeeze them together.
Lift your right leg up.
Just like that. We want to avoid when we're on a very long run, just hunching our body forward, so we need to develop some strength into our back here. Next exercise, we're going to be doing a shoulder raise. So I'm going to take some very light weights. I'm just going to square off, and that's exactly how it sounds. I'm just going to raise some weights above my shoulders, bring them down. We can do a front shoulder raise, and we can do a side shoulder raise, going lateral, just like that. Squaring off, moving myself forward, tucking my hips in. Next exercise I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing a tricep press. I'm going to be doing it standing up. I'm going to take this here. I'm going to keep myself squared off. I'm going to tuck my hips in so my legs aren't bent at the hips. And I'm just going to press this up, keeping my triceps as close to my skull as I can. Just like that. I think that's it. All right, we're going over the bounding set. This is for your eccentric and elastic muscles. First one we're gonna do is a double leg jump. We're going for soft landing. We're trying to absorb the shock that we're gonna have. So I'm gonna be going for just about this distance. This is a little bit of a weird setup, but around 3 regular stairs would probably do the difference, 3 to 4 depending on your height. So I'm gonna go for a double leg jump. I'm gonna force everything up, and I'm gonna land very softly and going for stability and absorption. So it's gonna look like this. I'm gonna try to make that as quiet as I can. Just like that. Keep it rolling. Oh, cut it and stuff, so no worries. Next drill we're gonna be going for is a single leg hop. This one is more for speed. I want everybody upright and having our arms kind of match our movement to which leg we're going on. So I'm gonna find my balance on one leg. I'm gonna hop. I'm not really concerned about with how hard I land. I wanna be in control still, but I'm trying to get up as fast as I can and rebound my leg up as fast as I can. We'll do that on both sides. Last one we're gonna do is a sideways single leg hop. It's the exact same thing as the forward one. We're just working on it on a different plane here. So I'm gonna face which side I'm going. The leg that I'm gonna be using is inside to the stair. And again, I'm gonna be going for speed, and I'm going to be nice and upright and using my arms to match which leg I'm going on. A little harder, and we'll do that on both sides. That's it.